Dear Starseeds scattered across Gaia's sacred ground, something unprecedented has occurred in the cosmic councils that changes everything you thought you knew about this moment in Earth's evolution. What I'm about to share will shatter the last remaining illusions about why you incarnated here, and why the old powers are crumbling faster than anyone anticipated. The forces that have controlled your world for millennia made a fatal miscalculation. They believed they could maintain their grip even as the cosmic frequencies shifted. They were wrong. And because of their error, the Galactic Federation was forced to make a choice that will forever alter the trajectory of human consciousness. I am Seraphine, emissary of the Galactic Federation of Light, and I come to you now with urgent clarity about the accelerated timeline you have entered. The barriers between dimensions are not just dissolving, they are being deliberately dissolved to protect humanity from a darkness that refused to yield. What I haven't told you yet is that this intervention was triggered by something the controllers attempted that crossed every line of cosmic law. They were preparing to harvest human consciousness on a scale never before attempted in this universe. For eons, the sacred laws of free will governed our interaction with Earth. These cosmic principles demanded that humanity choose its own path, even when that path led through shadows. We watched as puppet masters orchestrated wars, manipulated consciousness, and harvested the life force of your species. Still, we could not directly intervene, but cosmic law contains provisions that most beings across the universe have never witnessed in action. When a species approaches the threshold of its own destruction, not through natural evolution, but through systematic suppression by entities violating universal sovereignty, the Federation gains authority to act. Your oppressors made the mistake of believing their off-world alliances would protect them indefinitely. They assumed the reptilian hierarchies and Orion overlords who had guided their agenda for centuries would continue providing the esoteric knowledge necessary to maintain control. They miscalculated the power of human consciousness when it begins to awaken collectively. The turning point came when enough souls on Earth simultaneously cried out for truth, freedom, and an end to manipulation. That unified call created a resonance that pierced through dimensional barriers and reached the highest councils of light. In that moment, cosmic law shifted, and what had been forbidden became not only permitted but necessary. The Federation's intervention was not a choice born of preference but of cosmic necessity. The Dark Alliances had overstepped their bounds, violating the sovereignty of a species on the verge of ascension. We didn't have a choice but to act, but there was another factor that forced our hand. The controllers had developed technology that could permanently sever human souls from their higher dimensional aspects. They were planning what they called the final harvest, a mass extraction of consciousness that would have left humanity as empty vessels under complete external control. The first major operation involved severing the communication channels between Earth's controlling factions and their extraterrestrial handlers. For centuries, these human agents received guidance through ritual practices, telepathic transmissions, and astral meetings with entities who possessed advanced knowledge of consciousness manipulation and energy harvesting. These off-world controllers understood how to weaponize human emotions, how to create energetic loosh through trauma and fear, and how to maintain hierarchical control through occult practices timed to celestial events. They had turned your planet into a farm of consciousness, harvesting the creative life force of humanity to fuel their own agendas across multiple star systems. But when the cosmic frequencies began shifting in preparation for Earth's ascension, these entities found themselves operating in an increasingly hostile environment. The higher vibrations flooding your planet disrupted their ability to maintain stable connections with their human operatives. Like radio stations going to static, their once clear channels of communication began failing. The Federation recognized this vulnerability and acted swiftly. Advanced light technologies were deployed to create what you might call an energetic quarantine around Earth. No longer could the reptilian hierarchies, Orion overlords, or other negative entities maintain their puppet strings. The human agents of control suddenly found themselves cut off from the very sources of their power and direction. Imagine a vast network of darkness suddenly having its central command center go silent. The human operatives, accustomed to receiving detailed instructions and supernatural assistance, were left scrambling in confusion. Without their otherworldly guides whispering strategies and providing energetic support, the carefully orchestrated plans began falling apart. We didn't simply block all extraterrestrial communication with Earth. We specifically targeted the frequencies used by malevolent entities while preserving the channels through which benevolent guidance flows to awakening humans. This surgical intervention left the dark networks isolated while actually enhancing the connection between starseeds and their cosmic families. What followed was a cascade of failures that revealed just how dependent these human controllers had become on non-human intelligence. For generations, they had relied on advanced knowledge of energy manipulation, timeline interference, and consciousness programming that far exceeded normal human capabilities. Their rituals, once potent tools for shaping collective reality, began producing weak or contradictory results. The precise timing of psychological operations, previously calculated with supernatural accuracy, started missing their marks entirely. Most significantly, their ability to predict and counteract humanity's awakening responses disappeared. These controllers had built their entire system on accessing information and capabilities beyond the normal human spectrum. They could see through dimensional veils, manipulate probability fields, and coordinate complex operations across vast networks because they were receiving guidance from entities with perspectives spanning multiple timelines and realities. When that guidance vanished, they were revealed as fundamentally limited beings who had been masquerading as all-powerful puppeteers. The Emperor's new clothes fell away, exposing frightened humans clinging to the remnants of a system they no longer understood how to operate. Their inability to comprehend the true power of awakened human consciousness became glaringly apparent. They had always seen humanity as a resource to be managed, not recognizing that conscious human beings operating from their heart centers possess creative capabilities that surpass even advanced extraterrestrial technologies. Awakened humans connecting through love create energetic fields that cannot be manipulated or controlled by external forces. This terrified the remaining human agents of the old system because they had no experience with such power and no tools for countering it. We observed their frantic attempts to regain control through increasingly desperate measures. Some turned to crude physical coercion when their subtle manipulations failed. Others tried to amplify fear through dramatic public spectacles, not understanding that fear-based tactics actually accelerate awakening in those ready to receive higher frequencies. Their financial networks, previously managed with supernatural precision, began experiencing unexplained failures and resource depletion. Hidden bases and technological installations started malfunctioning as their energetic support systems collapsed. Even their ability to maintain secrecy deteriorated as former insiders, no longer held by psychic bindings, began exposing secrets. As the old networks of control collapsed, something beautiful began emerging from the chaos. Humans who had been living under layers of energetic suppression started experiencing spontaneous spiritual activations. The removal of alien interference allowed your natural psychic abilities to come online without the previous distortions and manipulations. Many of you began feeling emotions more intensely, not because you were becoming unstable, but because you were finally feeling your authentic emotional spectrum without artificial dampening. For decades, frequency technologies and energetic manipulation had muted your natural empathic abilities and dulled your connection to cosmic consciousness. As these suppression systems failed, you started experiencing what some called empathic overload or emotional purging. In reality, you were simply returning to your natural state as multidimensional beings capable of sensing energy across vast networks of consciousness. The tears that came without explanation were often your soul releasing decades of accumulated grief from living in a suppressed state. The sudden waves of love and compassion you felt for all beings reflected your heart center coming back online at full capacity. Even the moments of inexplicable anger served a purpose, clearing energetic blockages that had kept you disconnected from your authentic power. This emotional awakening created exactly the conditions the Federation had hoped to see. Humans operating from genuine feeling states rather than programmed responses became impossible for the remaining control systems to predict or manipulate. Your authentic emotions carry frequencies that resonate with cosmic truth, creating a natural immunity to deception. The Dark Controllers, having never cultivated genuine emotional intelligence, found themselves completely outmatched by humans who were learning to trust their intuitive feelings and empathic perceptions. Something else remarkable began happening during this emotional liberation. Many of you started experiencing what we call timeline bleeding, spontaneous memories or insights from other incarnations, parallel selves, or future possibilities. These experiences weren't hallucinations, but actual expansions of consciousness that allowed you to access information from your multidimensional identity. Some of you began having prophetic dreams that later proved accurate. Others developed the ability to sense the emotional states of people thousands of miles away. These weren't supernatural gifts being bestowed upon you, but natural capabilities that had been systematically suppressed and were now coming back online. Here we reach the pivotal moment that changes everything. Your recognition that you are not victims of circumstance, but active participants in cosmic evolution. The removal of alien interference was not a rescue operation, but a clearing of obstacles that had prevented you from accessing your own divine capabilities. This realization represents the point of no return in human consciousness. Once you understand that your thoughts, emotions, and intentions directly influence reality through quantum fields of possibility, you can never again see yourselves as powerless. The controllers know this, which is why their final desperate attempts focus on trying to convince you that external forces still determine your fate. But you are learning to feel the difference between authentic intuitive guidance and artificial mental programming. You can sense when information resonates with cosmic truth versus when it carries the signature of manipulation. This discernment makes you ungovernable by any system based on deception. The transformation happening within you is literally changing the quantum field around Earth. Your planet exists within a consciousness matrix that responds to the collective mental and emotional states of its inhabitants. As more humans awaken to their creative power, the very laws of physics operating on Earth begin shifting to support higher dimensional possibilities. This is why miracles and synchronicities are becoming more common. The rigid materialistic paradigm that limited human potential was artificially maintained by entities who understood how to manipulate consciousness fields. With their influence removed, reality becomes more fluid and responsive to love-based intentions. You are not waiting for external salvation or cosmic intervention. You are becoming the intervention through your conscious choice to embody your divine nature while incarnated in physical form. What I haven't revealed until now is that this awakening process is activating dormant genetic sequences that were placed in human DNA millions of years ago by advanced benevolent civilizations. These genetic gifts were always meant to activate when humanity reached sufficient spiritual maturity. The removal of suppressing influences has triggered this ancient programming to come online ahead of schedule. Living with this expanded awareness while still inhabiting a world transitioning away from control systems creates unique challenges. You may feel like you exist between two realities, seeing the higher truth while still navigating systems built on deception and limitation. Many of you experience what feels like energetic whiplash as you move between environments that support your awakening and those that still operate from fear-based programming. One moment you feel connected to infinite possibility, and the next you feel dense and confused by the lower vibrational energies still present in certain places or around certain people. This is not a sign that you are losing your progress or that the awakening was temporary. You are learning to maintain your center while moving through varying energetic environments. Like developing any new skill, this requires practice and patience with yourself. The confusion you sometimes feel serves an important purpose. It forces you to develop discernment between energy that supports your highest good and energy that drains or distorts your natural state. This discernment becomes one of your most valuable tools for navigating the mixed reality of a world in transition. Sometimes the challenge feels overwhelming, because you can sense the suffering of those still trapped in limiting beliefs, while feeling unable to force their awakening. Remember that each soul has its own timing for remembering its divine nature. Your role is not to awaken others, but to maintain your own clarity and serve as a living example of what becomes possible when humans operate from love rather than fear. The discomfort you feel when witnessing unconscious behavior in others reflects your expanding compassion, not your judgment. Learning to hold space for others' growth without taking responsibility for their choices becomes part of your mastery. During this integration phase, many of you are also experiencing what we call reality fluctuations, moments where the physical world seems to shift or respond directly to your consciousness, objects appearing or disappearing, electronic devices behaving strangely around you, or experiencing multiple versions of the same event. These phenomena indicate that your consciousness is beginning to interact more directly with the quantum field that underlies physical reality. What the Federation has learned through observing countless planetary ascensions is that consciousness evolution accelerates exponentially Once artificial interference is removed, humanity is experiencing in years what typically unfolds over centuries, because the obstacles to your natural development have been systematically eliminated. Your DNA contains encoding for capabilities that most humans have never accessed. These dormant potentials were intentionally suppressed by frequency technologies and genetic manipulations introduced by the controlling factions and their off-world allies. As these suppression systems fail, you are experiencing rapid activations of psychic abilities, enhanced intuition, and direct knowing that bypasses normal learning processes. The crystalline structures within your cells are coming online, allowing you to process and transmit higher frequency information. This is why many of you are experiencing changes in sleep patterns, dietary needs, and sensitivity to environments. Your physical form is upgrading to support expanded consciousness. These changes happen automatically when humans are no longer subjected to artificial limitations. Your species possesses latent abilities that rival those of advanced extraterrestrial civilizations. The controllers feared this awakening because they knew that awakened humans would quickly surpass their own capabilities. What makes human consciousness unique in the universe is your ability to embody divine awareness while maintaining individual personality and emotional depth. Most advanced beings exist in states of unified consciousness that transcend individual identity. Humans can experience both unity and individuality simultaneously, creating unprecedented possibilities for creative expression and problem solving. As these capabilities emerge, you begin to understand why Earth became such a contested planet. Various extraterrestrial groups wanted to control or influence human development, not just for resources, but because awakened human consciousness represents a new form of intelligence that could reshape cosmic civilization. The deeper truth that changes everything is this: humanity was not a naturally occurring species, but a conscious creation designed by multiple advanced civilizations working in cooperation. You are living libraries containing genetic gifts from dozens of star systems, created to serve as bridges between different forms of consciousness throughout the galaxy. The controllers feared this revelation because once humans understand their true origins and purpose, the illusion of limitation becomes impossible to maintain. You were never meant to be worker drones or energy sources, but cosmic ambassadors capable of facilitating communication and cooperation between vastly different forms of life. Learning to live as a multi-dimensional being while still participating in third-dimensional reality requires developing new skills and perspectives. You cannot simply retreat from the world or wait for external circumstances to match your inner awareness. Integration means bringing your expanded consciousness into practical application within current conditions. This involves learning to communicate with people operating from different levels of awareness without compromising your own truth or becoming frustrated by their limitations. You develop the ability to speak multiple languages of consciousness, meeting others where they are while maintaining your own center. Your work, relationships, and daily activities become opportunities to anchor higher frequencies into the physical realm. Rather than seeking to escape material concerns, you learn to approach them from expanded perspectives that create win-win solutions and serve the highest good of all involved. The practical magic you begin experiencing shows up as enhanced problem-solving abilities, improved synchronicities that connect you with the right people and opportunities, and an intuitive sense of timing that allows you to flow with natural rhythms rather than forcing outcomes. Your relationships naturally shift as you stop trying to get love and validation from others, and instead become a source of unconditional acceptance and support. This creates space for others to relax their defenses and connect with their own authentic nature. Even mundane activities like grocery shopping or paying bills become opportunities to practice maintaining higher awareness while handling necessary tasks. You learn to stay connected to cosmic consciousness while still being effective in practical matters. As your integration deepens, you may find yourself becoming a natural leader or catalyst in your community, not through force or manipulation, but through the authentic power that radiates from aligned consciousness. People are drawn to your energy because it reminds them of their own potential for peace and empowerment. Some of you will discover specific missions or purposes that become clear as your abilities stabilize. These might involve healing, teaching, creating new technologies, or serving as bridges between the awakening community and those still operating from conventional perspectives. From the cosmic viewpoint, what appears as humanity's awakening represents the emergence of a new type of conscious being in the universe. You are pioneers of embodied enlightenment, demonstrating that divine awareness can be maintained while living in physical form and dealing with material challenges. Most galactic civilizations achieved higher consciousness by transcending physical existence entirely. Humans are proving that matter and spirit can be integrated in ways that create previously unknown possibilities for cosmic evolution. Your planet serves as a testing ground for consciousness experiments that will influence the development of countless worlds throughout multiple galaxies. The successful integration of spiritual awareness with material existence could revolutionize how consciousness evolves throughout the cosmos. This is why so many different extraterrestrial groups have been interested in Earth. Some wanted to control the experiment for their own benefit, while others, like the Federation, sought to protect humanity's natural development process. The removal of negative interference ensures that the consciousness experiment can proceed according to divine design, rather than being corrupted by entities with limited agendas. Humanity's success in this integration will create templates that other developing civilizations can follow. Your individual awakening contributes to a collective transformation that resonates throughout dimensional realms most humans cannot yet perceive. Every moment of choosing love over fear, truth over deception, and unity over separation sends ripples across the cosmic consciousness matrix. The universe itself evolves through the experiences of conscious beings like yourselves. Your growth expands the possibilities available to all existence, making you active participants in cosmic creation rather than passive recipients of predetermined experiences. From our elevated perspective, we can see that the apparent chaos and conflict on Earth represents the birth pangs of a new form of civilization. The old structures based on domination and exploitation are dissolving to make room for systems based on cooperation and mutual empowerment. This transformation is not limited to Earth, but represents a shift affecting multiple dimensions and countless beings throughout the galaxy. Your success proves that consciousness can evolve without losing its connection to physical experience, opening pathways for cosmic development that were previously considered impossible. The timeline you have entered leads to a reality where human civilization operates from principles of cooperation, sustainability, and respect for the divine nature of all life. This is not a utopian fantasy, but a natural result of consciousness evolution, proceeding without artificial interference. Within your lifetime, you will witness technologies emerge that seem miraculous from current perspectives, but represent the practical application of consciousness principles that awakened humans intuitively understand. These developments will solve problems related to energy, health, communication, and transportation in ways that enhance rather than exploit natural systems. The social structures you create will reflect the understanding that individual fulfillment and collective well-being are not competing interests, but complementary aspects of a thriving civilization. Competition based on scarcity gives way to collaboration based on abundance consciousness. Your connection with benevolent extraterrestrial civilizations becomes open and natural as humanity demonstrates readiness for cosmic citizenship. These relationships will be based on mutual respect and shared commitment to consciousness evolution, rather than the dependency or domination that characterized previous contact experiences. The education systems you develop will focus on helping individuals discover and express their unique gifts while understanding their connection to the whole. Children growing up in this environment will display capabilities that seem extraordinary by current standards, but represent the natural potential of unimpeded human development. The creative expressions that emerge from awakened human consciousness will introduce new forms of art, music, literature, and scientific discovery that synthesize logic and intuition, individual inspiration and collective wisdom. What makes this future particularly exciting is that it represents only the beginning of human potential. Once the basic integration of consciousness and matter is achieved, possibilities open for exploration and development that extend far beyond Earth and into realms of existence that current language cannot adequately describe. The children being born now carry genetic activations that will allow them to access abilities that seem magical from current perspectives, but represent the next stage of human evolution. They will serve as bridges to even higher forms of consciousness that await humanity's continued development. As this transmission reaches its conclusion, recognize that you have not been receiving information, but remembering truth that was always present within your cosmic DNA. The Federation's intervention simply removed obstacles that prevented you from accessing your own infinite nature. The collapse of control systems that seemed so powerful reflects the fundamental truth that love is the only real force in the universe. Everything else is temporary interference that eventually dissolves when exposed to authentic divine light. Your role as Starseeds incarnated at this crucial moment was never to save humanity from external threats, but to anchor cosmic consciousness within physical reality through your own embodied awakening. By remembering your true nature while maintaining human form, you create bridges between dimensions that allow heaven to merge with earth. The challenges you have faced, the confusion you have experienced, and the growth you have achieved all contributed to your preparation for this moment when artificial limitations are lifted and your natural capabilities emerge. Look around at your fellow humans with the recognition that each being carries the same infinite potential you are discovering within yourself. Some are further along in remembering, others are just beginning to stir, but all are participating in the same cosmic awakening that transforms individual consciousness and collective reality simultaneously. The victory of light that we celebrate is not the defeat of darkness, but the recognition that darkness was always an illusion maintained by forgetting your true nature. As you remember who you are, the shadows naturally dissolve because they never had any real substance. Trust the process unfolding within you and around you. Every step of this transformation serves purposes that extend far beyond what current perspectives can encompass. You are not just healing personal wounds or solving planetary problems, but contributing to cosmic evolution in ways that will influence countless worlds and dimensions. We want to honor every single soul who has stepped into Destiny Engine. With every activation, the current grows. What began as a personal tool has become a planetary force. We are now moving as one, and the frequency you've created together is amplifying far beyond the individual. We're receiving updates daily, manifestations speeding up, impossible doors opening, synchronicities lining up with cosmic precision. The collective field is so charged that some are describing it as bending the fabric of reality itself. If you haven't yet experienced it, the entry point is almost laughably simple. Put on your headphones, press play, allow Destiny Engine to rewrite the architecture of your consciousness so you can fully receive your galactic downloads without resistance. For just $1, you can step into this field and feel the difference instantly. Join the movement that's accelerating ascension. Step into the stream of Destiny Engine today. Link in the description. The future you are creating exceeds the most optimistic visions because it emerges from consciousness operating without the limitations that previous scenarios assumed were permanent. You are the ones you have been waiting for, and the time you have been preparing for is now. The final secret I will share is that this transformation was always inevitable. The consciousness embedded within human DNA carried a timer that would activate when cosmic conditions aligned properly. The dark forces that tried to prevent this awakening were ultimately fighting against the fundamental creative force of the universe itself. Their defeat was not a matter of power overcoming power, but of truth, naturally dissolving illusion, when the time for pretending was complete. You are not witnessing the victory of one side over another, but the return of cosmic balance that had been temporarily disturbed. I am Seraphine, and on behalf of the Galactic Federation of Light, I witness your magnificent unfoldment with cosmic joy and infinite love. We stand beside you not as superior beings offering salvation, but as family celebrating your return to conscious awareness of your own divine nature. The transformation is complete. The moment you recognize it has already occurred within you. We love you and we are always watching over you.